Hey folks, Matthew Weiss here, WeissAdvice.com and Weiss Advice here on YouTube. Continuing with Lo-Fi Week, I want to talk about digital resolution. Now, in the past couple of videos, the results I've been showing have been some kind of a reduction in the sound. We're taking information away, and so we are getting less sound there, and it's creating interesting tones and textures and results. But if you remember Monday's video, I very specifically defined lo-fi, low fidelity, as the accurate reproduction of the sound source. So it's not just the ability to produce the full scope of the sound, it's also the ability to produce it accurately that creates something hi-fi. But we can produce inaccuracies that lo-fi something that in some ways almost kind of seem to hi-fi them, and that's the technique that I want to talk about today using digital resolution. So I'm going to play a little bit of this down here. So I have a couple of qualms with this introduction. Two things in particular. There's two things coming together that can be a really deadly combination, particularly in an intro. All of our sounds are kind of dark, and the record is down-tempo. And when those things come together, when there's a lot of space, a lot of legato notes, a lot of, not a lot of action happening, it can get a little bit boring, right? And boring is bad anywhere in a song, but I can't think of a worse place to be boring than like the intro. If the outro is a little boring, we'll probably live. But if the intro is boring, we're never going to get to the good stuff. So how can I make this more exciting to the ear? How can I make these sounds pop? There's a lot of ways to do it, but I want to show one way that we should consider. It's something that I've heard in the production of a lot of Katy Perry records, actually, interestingly enough. But what we can do is use digital resolution, reduce our sample rate, and produce overtones and artifacts through aliasing that can be really, really interesting to the ear. So here, for example, we don't have really anything over maybe about 3K going on in this like sample vocal. Yeah, we start rolling off, and then by 10K we're basically at nothing. But what if we wanted some kind of a sound there? What if we wanted something to bring up energy in the top range? Well, we could use sample rate reduction to create aliasing distortion in the very high frequencies. So I have it right now turned a little down. I'm going to turn it up. It's kind of a piercing sound. Fair warning. So we have a mix knob here on RC20 right now, which is what I'm using for this. We're definitely not going to want it to be so pronounced that the ear is going, oh my God, what is that? But enough of it where when we hear it with the rest of the record, it actually makes the sound pop a little bit more. So it gives us a certain tone and texture that extends the overall frequency range. It does it in a very dirty lo-fi way, but it's kind of cool. Now, I don't know if I necessarily love it for this sound, but I bet for the guitar part, which is going throughout the record, a little bit of it might go a long way. Yeah, or maybe do it with Decimort. I think I like it better with Decimort because Decimort gives us this jitter option, which can kind of spread the sound and granulize that ring that shows up. And I think that that's a little bit better for covering a little bit more of the frequency range. So just having a little bit in there, kind of lo-fiing it ever so slightly. Kind of dig it. Now, I'm going to play where the actual beat comes in, and I'm going to play the drums in particular. So let's listen to the drums the way I've got them set right now.
Now she tryna do me as bad as I did her. Why I gotta lose him as fast as I get him? I can never choose between her and my niggas. Stacking for the commas till I hit 9 figures. Don't come with the drama, interrupting my rhythm. Shorty, I'm trying to get you out of my system and out of that denim. Now she tryna do me as bad as I did her. Why I gotta lose him as fast as I get him? I can never choose between her and my niggas. Stacking for the commas till I hit 9 figures.
Let me play it without my effects and then turn it on while we're listening back. You probably heard a difference already, but I think it's going to become a little bit more apparent if I change it in real time.
Now she tryna do me as bad as I did her. Why I gotta lose him as fast as I get him? I can never choose between her and my niggas. Stacking for the commas till I hit 9 figures. Don't come with the drama, interrupting my rhythm. Shorty, I'm trying.
And let's just solo up the drums. I think you probably heard it, right? It was very apparent in the snare. In all of these drums, I'm using that same idea, sample rate reduction, to call attention to the high end of the drums. If we take a look at the kick, for example, by itself, it's very, very dark. I don't mind that. But let's say we wanted to make it pop a little bit more. We can do exactly what we did with the guitar, where we're turning the sample rate down in order to produce that weird metallic overtone. Or how about the hi-hat loop? Notice that it just gets a little bit brighter, but it's like it does it in a very interesting textural way. Here I'm using sample rate reduction instead of it playing at 44 kilohertz, which would give us the full frequency spectrum. We're now playing up to 33 kilohertz, so we start to get aliasing distortion at 16.5K, which is the very brightest part of the hi-hat. If I wanted to call attention to maybe a darker part of the hi-hat, I could go even a little bit lower. Let's go to like maybe 22, so that would take us to 11K. There's almost this like weird flattening of the tone happening at 11K. I don't like that one as much because it actually reduces the overall extension. I think 33 was really where it was at for this. And then, of course, the most prominent one was the snare. And then immediately gives it this very, like, old sampler drum machine kind of character that's really emphasizing the highs. Right now it's emphasizing half of my sample rate, which is 18.2, so that's 9.1 kilohertz, which is still pretty high up in the treble range. I'm going to kind of mess around with this just to kind of show some different things. So like maybe we take it up a little bit higher to like 22, something like that. That's cool. It definitely extends the snare. It's a little subtler, I think, but if I just wanted to subtly extend the snare, that actually might be a really valid way to do it. It would be a way to do it more texturally than by using, like, say, an EQ in the top frequencies. It just wouldn't sound, it wouldn't have the same effect on the sound. So here's just the snare without.
Did her. Why I gotta lose him as fast as I get him? I can never choose between her and my niggas. Stacking for the commas till I hit 9 figures.
With.
Now she tryna do me as bad as I did her. Why I gotta lose him as fast as I get him? I can never choose between her and my niggas. Stacking for the commas till I hit. I at the risk of using a kind of confusing word in the terms of music,
it makes the snare feel like it's a little bit taller. So this is a very interesting way of using a lo-fi effect to actually extend the tallness of a sound, and I thought that that would be really cool to show. Anyway, guys, if you dig this video, hit that like button. If you want to catch more videos like this, hit subscribe with the bell notification so you get notified. A couple of for purchase tutorials that I do want to point out. One is the Halloween effects and sound design tutorial, which incorporates a lot of really cool lo-fi ideas, primarily revolved in sound design for voice, but then I translate that over to what it would sound like on some instruments or drums, and we hear some really cool, fun stuff. Also, mixing with reverb launched earlier this month. There is a launch sale. If you use the code reverb20, you get 20% off, and that's until February 15th. Links to those are in the description below. And lastly, you know what we say here at Weiss Advice. We are musicians, sound is our instrument, and I will catch you next time.